beyond obviously the sad part of 2020, there's been like a lot of positive too, because it's pushed us to adapt and try new things that we otherwise probably never would have tried, and things that we talked about for a long time. It kind of put our feet to the proverbial coals and made us start working really quick. As far as staffing, we kept on as much as we could. We cut back as much as we could. We distributed funds anywhere that we could. Staff, when we were cutting things down, staff was actually the last thing that we looked at. I looked at everything I could before staff. And then when we did get to the hard staff choices, like any hospitality company has, we offered other things. So we started some other businesses. We started a marketing company, so we were able to keep on a lot of our marketing people. We started a food delivery company, so we were able to keep on a lot of our drivers, and just, a lot of people joined the food delivery company. I started this charity called One Bed, One Meal that provided meals for local families, but also what it did was provide jobs to some of our chefs and cooks to actually prepare these meals. So we kind of looked at the business as let's just look at the bare minimum that we can operate with as far as staffing wise. But then besides that, let's look at all the skills that we have collectively as a company and all the assets that we have, and how can we redeploy those doing completely new things that we'd never thought of doing before.
Just kind of leveraging the existing skill sets you had so that you didn't have to make as many hard decisions. How did those two things work out? Were you able to actually find some success with those businesses? Because they did start pretty quick.
Yeah, the marketing company is doing really well. We started with one client, and maybe I think we made 15 grand in 2 or 3 months, which was great. And then we got to 20 grand. And now last month we cleared almost 70 grand. So we're doing really well with the marketing company, much better than we anticipated. And so much so that we're actually looking at merging the marketing company now with another Instagram marketing company to try to grow the business. So something we hadn't, I never would have done it. I never, ever would have done it. But it was something I was like, I know about marketing. I've done a lot of marketing in my days. We have this whole marketing team. Why don't we use them? So the marketing went well. The food delivery business, what we did is we didn't do that for profit for ourselves. We actually gave it to our staff. So we got it up and running to the point where it was self-sustaining. And then we gave it to our staff and said, we're not taking any profit from this. You guys, we gave them all of our trucks, because we have a fleet of trucks between all the businesses for deliveries, tours, whatever, just a bunch of trucks. So we let the team use all those trucks for free. And yeah, it's still going okay. It employs about 6 of our staff. So it's not a huge business, but it's working, and it's keeping 6 people employed, which is great. I myself have also started doing business coaching, which, obviously I did back in 2014 or so. Now I'm doing a lot of one-on-one business coaching and performance coaching. And that's been going great. I just started that about a month and a half ago, and I've got 7 clients right now. So I'm really happy with that as well.
I guess one question I have for you, Edmund, is because people might be watching this and they might say, well, this guy has so much pedigree when it comes to business. Of course, he can pivot and figuring out a marketing business or a food delivery business, but I can't do that. I can't do that with my business. What would be your tips for the average person, or maybe a small business owner, or even someone in a career, just thoughts going forward for more of people who say, I haven't been doing this for 20 years. I don't have the same skill set as you. What would be your tips?
Well, first, I think Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And I think that's a big part of it is the mindset of it, and not getting caught up in, the biggest hurdle I have to overcome with the people that I take on as coaching clients is the idea of starting their business in a new way. Go out and pre-sell things before you go out and make things. Go out. True story. The first Startup Bros webinar that we did, and hopefully Will doesn't kill me for saying this, but it's the truth. We literally had a PowerPoint presentation in an hour and a half. I think we thought the call was going to last 45 minutes. And I think we got off that call with $45,000 or $50,000 in sales. And we were like, well, I guess we have to go build a course now.
Right.
And we just sold all these people. We just sold all these people, 50, 60 people. We just sold courses to. We didn't even have a course. Now, the point is some people might go, oh, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. It's not. What it is validating the product before you launch the product. We knew we had the skills. We knew we had all the information, and we knew that we could deliver an amazing course. There was no doubt about that. Between Will and I, you had 2 very skilled people. But would it be smarter to spend 6 months building out this amazing course and then we launch it and nobody wants it? Or would it be better to build out a presentation on the course we want to build, get people excited about it, see if we can actually pre-sell it, and then build it? And 2 is, everyone has a skill. I mean, I'll give you a few tips, but another, like a lot of people don't realize like everyone has a skill. Like it might be teaching English. Maybe you know how to train for a marathon. Maybe you know how to do taxes. Maybe you know how to set up LLC. I mean, there's like a million things. Maybe one of the guys I coached, I helped him set up a visa processing company because he's from Poland. And what he realized that his skill was is that he knows how to do immigration into America really well. And he's like, wow, he's like, I never thought of that as a skill, but yeah, I did it for me, my whole family, my cousins are in America now, and I've done the whole process like 7 times. I was like, dude, like that's a huge skill. And so think about everything that you do. Like, what are you doing that people pay for? What do you know how to do that people would pay for? Like, what things, like go ask your friends, what are they paying for? You know how to use Instagram. Okay. Do you have friends that are paying for Instagram marketing? You know how to do graphic design. Do you have friends that are paying for people to design their Facebook ads? Just the other day, I posted online because I'm writing a lot more scripts and content for my YouTube. Like, hey, are there any copywriters or script writers out there? So just write out your skill set and then go look at online, like where are people paying for these things, and think of a way to turn that into a business.
I think what it really comes down to, and kind of the point that gets emphasized a lot, is it's really about, you know, if you're willing to put yourself out there, the more you put yourself out there, you're going to see a lot more opportunities come up. And the more you're looking out specifically at the world and you're looking, say, hey, what can I actually find? And you're actively looking for either new work opportunities or you're looking for new opportunities for business. It's all out there, but you have to shift your mind to be open and looking for that. I always look at the creative skills first because I think it's the easiest to conceptualize, you know, as like an extra side hustle skill, because it's also very clear. You're seeing all these ads that are coming out for, you know, video ads, and every time you see an ad, someone sat there and they made the copywriting for it. Someone made the graphic design. And so if you think about everything that you're consuming, every bit of a product, not just from a creative standpoint, but someone like built that, right? Someone built that on every part of the way. You know, there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, I think also it's like what you said is like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like, don't like, what's the worst? Like, I was talking to a client the other day who's working with me, and they were like, oh, I don't know, because, you know, I don't have the product and this and that. And I said, like, what's the worst that happens? Explain to me your biggest fear. What's your biggest fear? And they're like, well, I don't know. I don't have the product yet. I said, okay, so what's the worst thing that happens? Okay, let's say we get 10 customers and you aren't able to produce the product. Then what's the worst thing that happens? And he's like, I don't know. I disappoint people. I'm like, not really. You just refund them. You say, hey, sorry, I'm sold out right now, or we're back ordered right now, and let me get back to you in 3 months. Like, it doesn't have to be this big disappointing thing, or they're unhappy and you refund them, or you don't make enough sales and you refund them. Like, what's the worst case scenario? Or you put yourself out there and nobody wants it, and that's not that big of a deal either. I mean, the people that are gonna like hate on you and say that it's, you know, stupid or not a good idea or whatever, those are the people that are sitting home not doing anything. And a great quote I heard the other day was like, I've never met a hater that was doing better than me. Yeah. And I think that's the same thing. Even if you're just putting yourself out there, it's like you're never going to meet somebody who's doing more than you and being more creative than you that's hating on you. It's always the person sitting at home doing nothing. Obviously,
you know, the world's changing. Different skill sets are important now that maybe didn't even exist before. What skill sets, if someone, let's say someone's young and they're looking out at the world, they don't have too many commitments, and they're saying, okay, I want to see the next thing that I should do, that I should double down in investing in myself in terms of training, in terms of education. What would be your thoughts? What do you think is hot? What do you think are valuable skill sets that are out there in the world for 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously my background is, or the things I'm working on right now are marketing and also hospitality. So probably most of my ideas are going to revolve around those. So I do think there's a lot of opportunity in the like ghost kitchen genre of like making brands or multiple brands inside of one kitchen that don't actually have physical locations and are selling food on Uber Eats and these other platforms. So not having a storefront, maybe having actually the worst location in a back alley, wherever in your neighborhood, or I mean in your town, where you can put a whole kitchen in there and sell food online and do probably your margins will probably be better than a traditional restaurant, because you don't have all the staff overhead, you don't have all the front of the house, all the marketing, it's all done for you. So I like the ghost kitchen concept a lot. I also like the sort of, and I don't know how it works in the States if people are doing it or not, but in Asia, it's gotten really popular, like these almost like, how would you describe it? Like almost like Airbnb experiences, but for like dining at home.
Mm.
So people will be like, I'm an Italian chef, come into my house and have a 4-course Italian meal with wine. I think these really authentic, like cooking at home experiences are something to really look forward to, especially as the world is like kind of more and more separated right now at the moment. I think actually having these experiences where people can come together in small groups and eat at your house, I think people will be willing to pay for them a lot more than they probably were before, and also looking for something like that. The other things I would say is like Instagram marketing, Instagram content development, Instagram management. I think those things are pretty hot. Same with YouTube, YouTube production, editing, caption writing, script writing, even YouTube consulting, like having, you know, like just my buddy the other day, I saw my buddy Noah just did a video on how he paid like $2,000 to a guy to come over and like help him tweak his camera setup, and his camera, you know, his setup looks amazing now. So I think anything around like Instagram marketing consulting, YouTube consulting, web development even. I know people think web development is probably dead, but man, I'm living proof right now. I started this thing a few months ago. We did 70 grand in sales last month. So end of August. We just started this thing back in March. So anyone who says that web development is dead, I'm literally living proof. All I did was go out and start leveraging my network and talking to people online. And honestly, the bulk of my clients weren't people I know. So I know a lot of people go, oh yeah, but you're lucky because you know all these big people. The bulk of my clients that we got into the business were not people we knew. It's from Facebook groups we went into, from looking at other people's that were working with us, their friends' news feeds, and just looking for people looking for e-commerce shops.
Yeah, and when you're talking about web development there, how detailed, how technical is it? Is it custom websites, or is it more you're building kind of templated, you know, setting up Shopify stores, funnels, like things that you don't need a coding background, or you might not need a coding background to do most of it? What's the breakdown?
We've been doing mostly WordPress sites, but using Elementor, so it's like very customized WordPress. It's not like you're not working on a template; you're working through Elementor, so you can do whatever you want with it.
Right.
That being said, I don't think it really matters, man, because I still think there's so much low-hanging fruit out there that people just don't realize. Like, how many restaurants in your town don't have a website? How many of those restaurants are run by a mom and pop that have no idea, and you can walk in and go to them and say, like, look, give me $400. You go buy a $50 WordPress template, you put it up, and you've just made $300 for probably 10 hours of work. Like, those people exist all day, every day in your town right now. Any town across America, there's 50 people in your town minimum that are in that exact scenario.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I want to share a quick story that I think is going to elaborate with this that actually happened over COVID. And it has to do with this exact same scenario, low hanging fruit. And so I actually knew a high school teacher of mine. I go and see him every time I go back through. He's a technology teacher, really good friends in high school. And he has a peony farm. So these beautiful peony flowers. And I'm talking to him when I get back here over COVID, and he's telling me how COVID's happening. And so he's not going to sell many flowers because there's no events, there's no weddings. And I said, well, the peonies are still going to bloom. And since you can't sell the flowers, why don't we set up a little website for you? And we have people come and take pictures with the peonies. It'll be really Instagrammable. It'll be really cute. And then they can leave. And for $25, it's COVID safe. You can come with a group, and then you can leave with a bouquet. So I just went down there. I had like a really cheap Mavic Mini drone, like $400 you buy on Amazon. I went down there with my sister when the peonies were bloomed. We took a video of the field. We put it up. We put up a little Wix site, nothing fancy, but it took about 10 hours for me to just put up, no technical knowledge. And then we promoted it on Instagram. And then I went on Yelp, found all of the photographers in Maryland, and I said, hey, come and shoot at the peony farm and shoot for free. And they promoted it to their audience. And then over the course of about a week, we made about $1,500 in ticket sales. But what was even crazier is because the farm, right? Like you're saying, these low hanging fruits, like this guy had been running a farm for years and didn't do anything with it. And so where the real value was, is we took the drone videos and he actually went and applied for different farm grants. And because the politicians who are paying these farm grants, they're saying that all of these farms, they're applying for the same thing over and over. They're just buying more, more supplies for their farm. And so when there was a new and innovative idea, he got all of these grants because no one had ever seen anything like this before. And so again, it's just looking at, imagine how many businesses are in your town, especially if you're in a small area. It's almost better if you're in a small town rather than being in a big city, because you can go and approach small businesses and say, hey, I'll fix up your website. I'll do these things. And if I can actually show an increase in your business, you might not even have to pay them up front. And what I'll tell you too is in small towns, people are just blown away. I'm shooting these videos or I'm making these websites and I'm thinking it looks pretty average. But these people who have old websites, they think, oh, this is fantastic. And getting someone to pay you a few $100s for that, it might seem really simple and easy to you just to set up a social media campaign for them. But for them, it's something they've never seen before. They're just not familiar with that technology.
Because they didn't grow up in that era. And that's the point. You got to remember, like, how old are you, Tony?
26.
26. I'm 39. So right. even you grew up in that era more than I did. And then the people that are just a bit older than me, like, have almost no, I mean, I've got friends that are multimillionaires that are in their 50s, I would say 50 plus, that are so out of touch with how the internet works that I get calls from them all the time that are like, Edmund's the internet guru. And it's like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not even like a tenth of like people like Will or Noah. Like I like a fraction of their knowledge, yet they think I'm very knowledgeable because they see me out on the internet a lot. Promoting myself and doing different things. So I think it's, and this goes with any business too. Remember, like, you might have only run a marathon once, but maybe you like my sister, I was thinking just the other day, my sister ran a marathon like when she was pregnant. I was like, why don't you teach a course on how to safely run a marathon while you're pregnant? Or like, like, it doesn't seem like a thing, but I guarantee you there's women out there that would love to like, be like, wow, I want to do that too. So think about repositioning your skills and also what skills that you might think aren't that valuable, or experiences that you don't think are valuable that other people might find hugely valuable.
Any tips for older folks, right? So younger folks, I think it's clear to say you have a huge advantage just because you're not so tied down from a commitment standpoint. Typically, you're typically not tied down financially, so you can take a lot more risk and afford to not get paid as much in the beginning in terms of building your reputation. But what about for people who are, and you also have an advantage on technology, but what about for people who are a little bit older? Any thoughts for like someone your age?
So also, I just want to make one more comment before we get to that, is also as well, build it for free and then charge them for it. Like the first 2 clients we took with the web business, we built out everything for them for free. And we said, if you think it's valuable, then you can pay us for it. And when they saw what we did, they were like, oh my God, like, we have to have this. This is incredible. Sorry. So going back to what you said for people, so any advice for people that are my age, and what do you mean as far as how to reposition themselves or like how to make money, or what's the advice?
Someone might be sitting there and they might be saying, well, that's fine for Anthony because he's 26 and he grew up with the technology, but I can't learn this technology. It's too late for me, kind of thing. What would be your thought?
That you can hire people to do it for you and do arbitrage. You can hire people on Fiverr to do the exact same thing. And we've done that as well with our company, because we started getting so big so quick. We actually started running out of staff. And so we started hiring people on Fiverr and Upwork to build out pieces of the website that we knew were like simple, like, hey, we need you to add in like the Facebook chat bot. We need you to put in a pop-up email sign up. And we need you to load these 30 pictures into these places on the website. And paying someone like, $20-$30 to do all that. And then we're actually reselling it for $200 or $300 as well. I would say that there's so many ways to, like, the number one thing I've heard during coronavirus is people bitch and complain and just like moan and not look for ways to make money. So in the very beginning, back in March area, I also was like in this position where like overnight, like I was just like, oh, I don't know what, like, I was freaking out. I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I have no idea. And so I just started thinking of like anything I could do to make money. And I made this goal is like, I want to make my goal. I remember sitting down with my wife I was like, I'm going to make $30,000 in the next 90 days doing stuff I've never done before. That's my goal. So anything I can think of to make money. So I went out and I taught English online. I made $7,000 online teaching English. Never in my life had I done that. I went on, signed up for this website, and I became the most expensive teacher on this website, teaching private English lessons. I can't speak right now because my glands are really swollen, so it sounds like I have a lisp. Teaching private English. See, I can't. Teaching private English lessons. I was teaching for like $40 to $50 an hour. Dude, I mean, that's good money. I mean, I was teaching like 30 hours a week of English.
Wow.
And then, I mean, I didn't keep doing that because it was exhausting and it wasn't what I wanted to do with my life, but it was actually the action of doing that. That was the first thing I did online when things went wrong. And the reason I did it is because I actually was like, I need to prove to myself that I can make money doing anything. I don't care what it is. I'll do anything right now. And I did it. And after I did that, I felt so good. I was like, dude, like, what are you stressed about? Like, you can do, like, you can make money anyways. And I think the one thing is like, people might be like, oh, well, like, the last video you're talking about, like, how you're a fucking baller or whatever. But I think that's the point there is like, don't ever be too proud to make money. Don't ever be too proud. Don't ever be too proud. It doesn't matter if you're a fucking billionaire or if you're a millionaire or if you're just some guy who thinks he's really cool and you've got an ego for some reason about whatever. Like, don't be too proud. Like, if you've got someone offering to hand you money and you're in a position where you might need it, like, go and make that money. Like, don't be above it. I see a lot of that, man. I see a lot of people, you'd be surprised, even within my own organization and other organizations being like, yo, bro, like, why are you teaching English? Like that's weird. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I'm making crazy money. The only person actually that I told this to who thought it was awesome was actually Noah Kagan. And he did an interview with me about teaching English because he thought it was so crazy that I went online and made $7,000 teaching English. So that, the other thing, again, we did that. We did the marketing company. We started growing a farm. This is a pretty interesting one. So, again, it's a skill set that I don't have. And like all this advice, I'm just trying to give to people my age because I had no idea how to grow a farm, but we decided to do it. So we dug up the backyard and we just started like Googling and YouTubing videos on like how to plant a farm. And now, I mean, dude, we have a massive farm out back. We have like almost half an acre of planted land with like lettuce, wow, cantaloupe, tomatoes, cucumbers, like all kinds of stuff. And it's gone so well that we didn't know what to do with it. So now what we've been doing is like trading our produce to like local grocery stores and local gyms. And like, we're just not, or sorry, well, yeah, local grocery stores, but local restaurants actually, and gyms. And like, we're not paying for gym memberships. We're not paying at restaurants anymore. And but beyond the fact that we're like not having to buy groceries, we also have like all these like, credits at all these restaurants and gyms and stuff. And so like, it was just, again, it's like, you never know the path that you go down, like where that's going to lead you. Like, I didn't intend for this to happen with the farm, but it did. So get out there, try new things, whether it's teaching English, whether it's planting a farm, whether it's starting a marketing company, whether it's, going out and YouTubing and Instagramming, whatever, just try it. And you never know where that road is going to take you.
I love it, man. Well, that's a perfect spot to wrap up. Just a couple of key takeaways. I love that, man. And I totally agree as well. You don't make, I think you've probably heard this before, but you don't make $1 million. You don't make it all at once. You make $1, right? And then you make it 1,000,000 times. And so even with some of these, especially when the world is crazy, especially when, there's a pandemic going on and it's uncertain, just because you're making money teaching English classes now or, starting a farm, it doesn't mean you're going to be doing it forever. But sometimes, like you're saying, just getting that early validation, that's huge. And I think too, planting those seeds quite literally, like you're putting something in place now that it might not actually give you benefit right away, but you're building something. And even if it's just for the sake of building it, I think there probably is some really good value in that. Edmund, any parting words, just in general, any motivational tips, just anything you'd give to the audience? I know it's a little bit of a crazy time.
Man, just remember it is going to pass. Maybe the world's going to be different. That's yet to be seen what will happen, but it will pass. And remember, like, as crazy as it seems right now, it's like you're zoomed in on the timeline and you're looking at this one really like detailed, specific point in life. But your life is long, and this is going to be a blip on the radar in the grand scheme of things. It might be a big blip that you remember forever, but it is going to be a blip on the radar. So be resilient, take action. Don't sit at home and feel bad for yourself. Stop watching fucking Netflix. Go learn something new. Go exercise. You can walk out of this going, this was the most personal development and most self-development I've ever done in my life because I had time. Or you can walk away from this going, I watched 500 episodes of Tiger King and fucking The Sopranos or whatever. So like, take advantage of this, seize the time that you have. You'll never have this time ever again in your life.
All right. Well, Edmund, thanks so much. Check out Edmund's YouTube channel. We'll put a link there. And thanks again so much for coming on.